Hi, Mariette here, and we are ready to move forward with our 17 Hats series. So we spent the first half of the series focusing on the left-hand navigation and really going down the navigation and getting to know the different areas in 17 Hats. We also realized that based on your plan, you may or may not have specific areas in 17 Hats, including workflows and bookkeeping. But we're using the higher levels of 17 Hats, so we do have those additional features in here. We also spent some time in the settings area to set this up because ideally when you are setting up a business solution, you really want to make sure you're setting up the back end of your system. In this session, we are going to jump back into 17 Hats and we're going to focus in the bookkeeping area. I want to be able to show you the bookkeeping area before we start developing in-depth 17 Hats so you can conceptually understand what is going to be brought into the bookkeeping area. It's also great to be able to see it from scratch when there's nothing in here. So before you start working into the bookkeeping area, you actually want to start here in your account settings and go over to bookkeeping. Under bookkeeping options, there's a great article that you can click into which will give you more information in regards to setting up your bookkeeping and how to either connect your bank directly to the bookkeeping system or to manually bring in the transactions. In this example, we're going to manually bring in an account so you can see what happens, and then we will do a connect account in a separate video. So first you want to create an account that you'll be bringing data into, and we'll look at that in a moment. And then you want to understand the transaction categories that are available to you. Now, here's when I want to take a long pause to share with you some really important financial literacy concepts before we go any further. So do you see how this says IRS category? This is referring to the Internal Revenue Code category, which is not a great explanation of what these categories are. Essentially what these categories are they are income and expense categories that you can assign to your money in and your money out. So that way you can see them on the profit and loss report, which is the financial report that is available to you here through the bookkeeping system. You also have additional accounts here on the bottom, which are actually balance sheet accounts, the assets, liabilities, and you actually can't see that inside of the bookkeeping system because you do not have availability to the balance sheet report, only the income statement report, also known as profit and loss. So again, I want to take a moment to stop and make sure that we are all on the same page in regards to the importance of these transactional categories, not necessarily internal revenue source categories. So what I want to do here is I want to quickly give you a Business Finances 101 session inside of this video and of course provide you additional resources afterwards. So let's do that now. So what I want to show you are the two financial statements that are most important for a business owner. Now these are where those categories are being pulled into. Now, as I shared before, the balance sheet statement, which has your assets, your liabilities, and your equity, even though you can categorize transactions as balance sheet accounts, you don't necessarily see them because you don't have a balance sheet report currently in 17 Hats. The next report is the profit and loss, or also known as the income statement report. Now, you do have that report available inside of 17 Hats. And that report is income minus cost of goods sold gets your gross profit. And then gross profit minus all your additional expenses takes you to your net operating income or loss, also known as your net profit or loss. So this is a report that is available inside of 17 Hats in addition to a few additional reports. What I want to make sure that you understand before we go any further is that that's basically what you're seeing inside of 17 Hats. You're seeing transaction categories that are going to get pulled into your profit and loss report and transaction categories that are balance sheet related accounts, but they will not be pulled into the balance sheet because the balance sheet is not available inside of 17 Hats. And if you are a business owner that needs to see a full general ledger report, both profit and loss and balance sheet, which is what I recommend for all business owners, then eventually you will want to connect with an accounting solution that provides you all of your necessary reports. But in the meantime, 17 Hats is good for you to just see a high-level review of your profit and loss. Okay, we're back in 17 Hats, and so essentially a better name for this would be financial statement categories or transaction categories, not necessarily the Internal Revenue Code categories. So I just wanted to make sure that you are aware of that. And now you can clearly see you have your income and you have your cost of goods sold and you have your expenses, which was part of the profit and loss statement. And again, you have your balance sheet accounts, your assets, your liabilities, and your equity that are part of your balance sheet, but you don't see the balance sheet as one of your reports. Now, let me explain to you again what I mean by you don't see them. Let's come over here and now into the bookkeeping area. So I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to click on the left-hand navigation, bookkeeping. In the bookkeeping area, you have access to reports, and you clearly see you have access to the profit and loss report, also known as the income statement report. You do not have access currently to a balance sheet report. So that's why I encourage all business owners to not only be able to see their business's finances ongoing in a software like 17 Hats, but more importantly, to engage with a accounting solution that provides you all of your necessary financial statements. But let's keep going here. So you also have access to a sales tax report, an upcoming receivables report, meaning who owes you and when did they owe you, aged receivables, meaning how long has your customers owed you and are they becoming uncollectible. Also being able to see reports by client sales and product sales. And we'll dive deeper into these reports as we start entering more data into 17 Hats. For now, again, I want to show you the basic method of bringing data into 17 Hats. So let's say you wanted to bring in your bank transactions into 17 Hats, and at this point you don't have anything in 17 Hats yet. You can essentially do what's called a import of transactions into 17 Hats. This is actually a very cool feature for you to be able to see your bookkeeping in 17 Hats. And then we'll incorporate that data later on in regards to other data coming into 17 Hats, particularly through your invoice and payments. So how do you import transactions into 17 Hats? Well, the first thing you need to do is manage my accounts, meaning you need to have an account in 17 Hats. You need to have an account that actually will be able to import data inside of it. Again, you can click on manual account and you can just manually add that account. Let's say it's a bank account. Let's say it's Chase 1234. And then you would just go ahead and create a new account inside of 17 Hats. Alternatively, you could connect the account and that would bring the information in. Just be mindful that depending on your plan, there may be an additional fee for that. Let's continue here back in the bookkeeping area on your left-hand side, and let's do an import of transactions into 17 Hats. So what's really important is when you come over here to your import option, which again is a very cool option inside of bookkeeping, it will clearly tell you that this bookkeeping import feature will import data from your specific bank or credit card accounts with these particular files. So these are the files that are acceptable. They support QuickBooks, WebConnect.qbo, or Microsoft MoneyFile.ofx. Those are the only files that are able to be imported into 17 Hats. So be mindful of that because many times when you export files out of the bank or credit cards, they will give you different file types to download, and you'll want to use one of those two types. So let's assume you have already downloaded those transactions out of your bank or credit card and you are ready to bring them into 17 Hats. We're going to click on account. We're going to click on the new account you created. And we're going to look for that actual statement that you just saved. So in my case, I've already downloaded it from the bank and it's a QBO file. You can clearly see .qbo. So I'm going to select it and click on open. And look how beautifully it just brings in the data. Now, again, we need to be very mindful of this data because we need to make sure we understand the literacy around it, that you're bringing in money in, which may be income related, or it may be a contribution to your business from yourself, or money out, which could be expenses for your business, or it could even be a withdrawal from the business from yourself. So we need to now take time to categorize each one of these transactions so we can truly see its effect inside of the bookkeeping system. So let's take a moment to make sure we're all on the same page about that. If you have any questions about this, please share in the comments of this video. And the next video, we'll go ahead and start categorizing these transactions and look at the profit and loss report. So let me end this video with the resources that you may need to go ahead and make sure you understand this concept even better. In my Master Your Books YouTube channel, I have this video here. And yes, it refers to QuickBooks or a spreadsheet method, but the most important part of this video is that it explains how to download your activity from your bank account. So that is one of your references here. Also in this playlist that's called Build Your Tax Ready Books, I go much more in depth in regards to financial statements, so you can take a look at these free videos as well. And I'll be providing some more videos to understand those basic financial statements in this playlist as well. So that is your first reference that I would suggest if you're having any struggles in regards to downloading the file into a QBO file, so that way you can continue with the import into 17 Hats. Again, in the next video, we'll go ahead and go even deeper in regards to categorizing and looking at reports. See you soon.